Hey everyone, I'm your host Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and today we are going to talk about your health, right? We are suffering. Everyone's trying to get off that pandemic weight, including myself, right? We are going back to the gym. We're getting our lives together. We're getting fit, but I want us to do something a little bit different. I want us to not wait until the new year to start getting our fitness goals on track. And I have the man here on Gentleman Style Podcast Show. He's gonna spill the tea and help us get to a better fitness life and do better in life. And he is here on Gentleman Style Podcast Show today, so you won't want to miss 1 second of what this powerhouse speaker has to say. Stay tuned, stay with us. We'll be right back. Here we go. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and I have Mr. Joe Evan here on the Gentleman Style Podcast platform. He is a health coach and integrative health practitioner that helps his clients and us today get to the root cause of their issues, whether it's weight loss, gut health, or even something more serious like autoimmune conditions, so that they can start living their best versions of their lives. And his clients have seen results all across the board: better wealth, better family life, better spiritual life, better money life, all of the above. You would be surprised at how your health affects everything else. Well, I can't wait to bring this man to the stage so he can spill some of the tea, not all the tea, on the show today. So help me welcome, without further ado, Mr. Joel Evan.
My man. Got
Welcome
me fired up backstage, brother.
Absolutely. We got to bring the drum roll out for you, brother. You are a legend, and you're changing the game on how people can change their lives and impact their lives and get to a better place health-wise. So thank you for doing what you do.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the intro. I'm fired up. Your podcast is amazing, and the energy, the music, everything. I'm just dying to just jump in. This is going to be great.
I appreciate that enthusiasm. You did all the work, brother. That your resume is extensive, and you do some incredible work, and you know it as best. I want to dive right in by asking, what is it that most of your clients are experiencing with health and wellness, right? What is the common denominator that you're seeing across the board with all your clients?
Yeah, awesome question. Two big things, okay? Number one is, Marcus, we've got a pandemic of metabolic disease, right? Only right now, the latest study coming out of 2022 shows that only 6.8% of Americans are actually metabolically healthy. Okay, so that means that we are losing. I mean, about 97% of people are not fit. I'm sorry, not 97. I can't do my math, but almost 93% of folks are metabolically not healthy and are not doing well. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, and I don't know if you can still hear me because I don't see you on the other side. Marcus, are you there?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. Beautiful. I got nervous because I couldn't see you. So I'd say, so that's number one, right? We've got a metabolic health crisis. You just mentioned, hey, we're coming out of the pandemic, right? We're coming out of this era where people have been at home for a long time and they haven't been in shape and they've been at home. And we also saw, the stats are pretty clear, people that were metabolically unhealthy. And what do I mean by that? Clearly, weight gain is a huge part of that, but anything from high cholesterol to cardiovascular disease, blood pressure, diabetes, any of that, you put any of those together, that's what I'm talking about by metabolic health. So that's number one. And those people were most affected by the virus. I don't want to get censored. So by the virus, those people we saw, right? They were in the hospital the most. I think the stat was 70% of folks that were in the hospital were folks that were metabolically unhealthy. So we got a huge problem there. We know that. Those are a lot of the people that I'm seeing. The second thing that you raised, because you mentioned something, you said, well, what are you seeing? Why are people coming to you when it comes to health and wealth, right? And I think you're right. You're onto something because it's all connected, right? And most of us, the majority of us, we try to compartmentalize things. We try to think like, oh, my health is good. No, I'm sorry. My health is terrible, but my job, I'm crushing it and I'm driving a Ferrari and I'm making tons of money. Or, the opposite. My job is amazing. How often do you hear this? My job is amazing, but my marriage sucks or my relationship with my kids sucks, right? And we try to almost justify it like it's okay. And what my argument is, it's not okay. They're all one big thing. Health, wealth, spirit, it's all one thing. And when you are bleeding or leaking energy from another direction, let's just say it is your health and you're not, that vital force is not at its peak, then you're bleeding in other areas of your life. Your marriage could be better. I think, man, if you're a millionaire, you could be making 2 million if your health was dialed in. And so I think those are the two big things that I see a lot across the board from everybody.
That's huge, and that's major. And I thank you for breaking that down, because and what we don't want to do, but it happens all the time, is so many of us get bogged down trying to build a wealth mountain, trying to build a perfect life, the house, the car, the Ferrari, the job, the career. But then we spend all our wealth now trying to regain our health through surgery, through fighting cancer, fighting all the things. And so where's the balance, brother? Where's the balance? Is it the food? Because if someone, I tell you right now, if someone created the magic bullet today, it would be off, it would fly off the shelves, the magic bullet to weight loss, right? But since we don't have that yet, since you haven't invented it yet, where's the balance? Is it the food that we eat, or is it the exercise? Where should we be focusing most of our energy when it comes to living a better life and gaining our ultimate fitness health wise?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, here's a simple answer because I just interviewed. This is really actually funny. Bryce Henson, one of my good friends, he's the CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp. He is an entrepreneur, and his whole business is Fit Body Bootcamp. It is people coming into a physical gym, working out, exercising, right? And he told me, he goes, "Listen, Joel, we know that even though this is what we're focusing on is exercise, 80% of what gets results is nutrition." So they just started adding the nutrition aspect as well in the coaching in their space. But even he knows, as a gym owner, as a guy who's creating fitness and franchises, that 80% of the work comes with the nutrition. But I would argue even more. I would actually argue another point. None of that matters. I don't care about how much you work out. I don't care about your nutrition. It's all about what's up here. That's the truth of the matter. And you talked about it. You said, well, it's reframing things, right? Because you just mentioned it. You said, well, all of us are saying, when I get something, then I'm going to be healthy. When I get rich, then I'm going to focus on my marriage. When I get rich, then I'm going to spend more time with my kids. No, you're not. None of that's going to happen. You guys have to be that kind of person right now. It's the equation is this, guys. The equation is be, do, have. Most of us have the entire opposite way, right? We want to have something and then we think we're going to be that person. Wrong. You got to start being that kind of person right now. You want to be wealthy? Start being the kind of person that a millionaire embodies. I don't know. What do they do? What are their habits? Do they wake up early? Do they fill their brain and their body with good nutrition and good scripture and good knowledge from other books? What do millionaires do? What does a healthy person do? I work with clients right now, and I can just think of somebody, let's say that they're 250 and they want to be 180. I'm like, you have to start being the kind of person right now who think about what a person that weighs 180 does. And right now, I want you to start being that person right now. Start doing the things that a person at 180 do. What are their habits like? What's their mindset like? What's their nutrition like? When you start being that kind of person, a year, 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, wow, all of a sudden you're going to be 180. You won't even know it. So it all starts up here, brother.
Yeah. Shift your mindset, shift that mindset. And so you teach something that's also very important. You teach a concept it's not new to the scene, but it's new to a lot of people. It's called biohacking. Can you explain the science behind biohacking and why you consult to that specific thing among many things?
Yeah, great question. Here's the thing. I want to just put people's minds at ease. Okay. Biohacking. I get emails from today. They're like, oh, that's cool. You're doing this biohacking thing. And it has nothing to do with the transhumanism movement. I'm not interested in making humans robots or whatever that even entails. I have even no idea what that means, but people for some reason think that's what it is. At a very simple level, okay? Bio is biology, okay? Life, bio. That's the first part. Hacking means this term was actually developed by a computer hacker. His name is Dave Asprey. He's the founder of Bulletproof Coffee, and he is the person who coined this term. So he had a former life in Silicon Valley as a computer hacker, and he was 300 pounds, overweight, and just absolutely terrible health. He was doing everything the Western modern doctor told him to do, and he was sick, unhealthy, fatigued, inflamed, and had no energy. And he's like, man, I got to do something, and I don't know what to do. So he started going to all these functional medicine doctors. He talks about it a lot on his blog. He went out and spent over $100,000 investing in different technologies such as ozone therapy, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, things that we do right now like sauna, red light therapy, cryotherapy. He started doing all these things, and he said, oh, you know what I'm doing? I'm taking shortcuts to my health using technology, and I'm getting myself better. And so he called it hacking his body, or later he called it biohacking, hacking his biology. So that's simply what it means. Here's the deal. I love biohacking for that aspect. I love what you can do in a short amount of time and get amazing results. What I have a problem with biohacking, because the term has gotten overused, I think, a little bit too much. And what people need to understand is you will never hack your way to ultimate wealth. You will never hack your way into fitness and health. You will never hack your way to losing 30 pounds. It just won't happen. All of those things take mastery. I want to be very clear with that. However, I love these little hacks because for a lot of people, it just starts the conversation, right? And we can start to nudge people in the right direction. Imagine if someone is like 300 pounds overweight and they just feel like, oh my God, this is such a heavy boulder to lift. But they just start one little thing. They're like, I read this article about sauna. I'm going to start doing sauna. Awesome. Do that. And then that hack leads them to, you know what? I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to start going on maybe a more plant-based diet. I'm going to start doing this or that. So that's what I love about hacks, because it's a way to kind of nudge people in the right direction. And those small wins, as you know, add up over time to really, really big wins.
Love it. Love it. Thank you for breaking that down so delicately. So you see the science behind it, right? It's living your best life. So it's a mindset shift, right? It starts up here, and then you transition over to the real life hack. You start living the way you want to live right now. So don't sit there and say, what I'm hearing is do the things that you want to do now. If you want to start juicing and eating better, start eating better. You don't have to wait until you get to a certain dollar amount, right? You can live that life now. Start going to the gym. Start with if you can afford. I think with most gyms, right, they have some kind of affordable plan. Go as a guest, buddy up with somebody, or even start building out a home gym. There is a way to do it, but it starts up here and shifting this muscle. This is the most powerful muscle of them all. So
100%.
that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
100%. I'm living proof. I haven't gone to a gym in over 9 years. I have
What?
a
What? Hold up.
yeah, man.
Wow. You look
Yeah, I don't
ripped,
go to
man.
yeah, thank you. I don't go to gyms, and it's not because I don't like gyms. They're great. I'm like you. I'm a busy entrepreneur. I'm a dad with 2 kids. I have a business, a podcast. I have all these things. For me to go to a gym, it just sucks more time of having to commute and do other things. And we know that for most people, what's the biggest barrier for working out? It's time. They don't have the time. And so what I had to find when I had the birth of my first kid, who's 8.5, so I said 9 years ago, and when he was born, I was working a ton of hours and had a side business that I was doing. And so I had to figure out a way right then and there. How do I work out efficiently with the least amount of time, but I can still feel healthy? I can still have that vital force and that energy and still be able to do all my other endeavors. And so that's really what I had to figure out. And I think I'm living proof. This isn't just like, oh, he has good genes, like lucky for him. Like, no, I do things, I do a practice, and I'm very, even though I only work out 10 to 20 minutes, 20 minutes is probably like the most you'll ever see me work out in a day. I'm religious about it. I'm consistent with it. And that's happened overnight. I mean, yeah, over the last 9 years, I'm averaging, probably five to 6 days a week where I'm getting at least some type of movement practice, I like to call it. So
makes sense. Makes sense.
yeah.
Speaking of jeans, what is the best type of clothes to wear while working out?
No clothes. How about that? Yeah,
Not in public though.
Yeah, not in public. If anybody knows me, I just moved out of California recently. I was in the Bay Area. I was in San Francisco. I was just recently in California, and I'm like, man, I moved to Idaho, so it's one state over ish. It's an hour flight, and it's the weather is very similar, but it gets colder in the winter. I'll tell you that. It snows. And San Francisco or LA, if you know those areas, man, I went back and I just thought, geez, this is what people are paying for. It's the sunshine tax. It is amazing. The weather, I forgot how great it was. So either way, even though I'm in Idaho, if anybody ever follows me on Instagram, I'm always out probably sharing a story with me and my shirt off. And I'm sure all the neighbors in my area think I'm a big weirdo. And it's not that I think I'm great and I want to, show off muscles. I could care less. We know, again, in the pandemic, we saw that people that didn't do too well had really, really low vitamin D levels. And so getting an adequate amount of vitamin D, 20 minutes a day, which also lines in with, guess what? My workouts 20 minutes a day. So if I can get 20 minutes, I prioritize vitamin D. And think about it, Marcus, we are always wearing clothes. Always. We are in a house under these lights that I'm shining on my face to make me look brighter. And we're either in artificial light, or when we do go outside, we have clothes. So how does our body, the majority of our body, get sun? It doesn't. So I make it a point to at least take off my shirt, and if I even take off my shoes, so that I'm grounding and getting those negative ions, as they talk about, and getting that sun to hit my skin. So that's my recommendation for clothes. No shirt.
No shirt. As minimal clothes as possible without getting arrested, y'all.
That's right. And actually, there's studies that actually, believe it or not, and I can't remember which one, but showing that people that worked out outside, outdoors, lifted heavier. They were stronger. And my guess is just because, again, the negative ions, there's a lot of proof. I'm sure you've heard about grounding and people grounding into the earth. You connect with that same resonance and frequency as the earth, and there's some power there. There's some magnetic force there. So I'm sure something's going on a quantum level that we don't even know about. And people, for some reason, that study showed they actually lift heavier. They're stronger. So there you go.
You're getting energized. Yeah, you're getting energized. That was something I had to learn when you would go outside. We push our children and ourselves to, like, oh, wear some shoes. But actually, if you would actually find that some theories out there say go outside without shoes, because you're connecting with the ground. You're becoming one with the ground. But also too, your body is adapting to that environment as well. So that's why Navy SEALs run on the sand and they run on the beach, because the majority of their training is going to be simulated to what the environment that they're actually going to be physically in. So if they're going to be in the water, they're going to be swimming, they're going to be in the desert, they're going to be in the sand. So they need to train their bodies to acclimate to running on sand. And so it's really cool, really powerful that way. We have one quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Support for Gentleman Style Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers you precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off free worldwide shipping with the code GENTSTYLE at manscaped.com.
are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. We have the incredible Mr. Joe Evan spilling the tea on biohacking, not just your fitness, not just your wealth and health, but your entire life and taking your fitness to the next level. Mr. Evan, help us, sir. What are the best foods to eat before and after a workout? Can you share some tips, some nuggets there? Because I feel like I'm getting it wrong. I see the bodybuilders, they're drinking power shakes, and then I see the other people on the other side eating a celery stick. So I'm caught in the middle. I don't know which one to eat. What should we eat before and after a workout?
That's hilarious. You know what? Here's the thing. There's so much crazy information out there, and I really appreciate some of the people out there in my network and cohort that are pushing this idea of like, hey, try something and, see if it works for you and what works best. There's some studies that say this, and there's some studies that say the complete opposite. So I think, first of all, everyone needs to understand what are your goals, right? Now, let's just say your goal is weight loss. I think a good strategy, not always though, would be to probably do it in a fasted state. Why? Because there's two triggers, right, in your body. One is called one of the big triggers is mTOR. Now, when mTOR is high, mTOR is telling your body to grow. It's anabolic. It wants you to put on that muscle. The problem for many of us, though, is we are always eating. And so we're always telling our body to grow, right? And so because of that, if you're trying to lose weight, that may not be a good thing. And so one of the neat things that you can do is fasting, believe it or not, suppresses mTOR, which is a good thing. Now your body is cleaning itself up. There is your body is cleaning itself up, getting rid of dead cells, recycling those cells. Your body starts to, they call it autophagy, right? And so your body's cleaning itself up and it's burning fat. Then another thing you could do to also suppress mTOR and to decrease growth is you could drink some coffee. That's also going to increase mTOR. And then guess what? Decrease mTOR. And then the third thing you would do is exercise. So there you go. That's a nice hack for you, everybody. That's 3 things you can do to suppress mTOR and help clean your body is exercise, coffee. Of course, I'd say just do it black, and then fasting. You do those 3 things. And then after your workout, then add that protein shake or, that's when I would start to fuel my body with some good things. And you're going to have this really nice, powerful rebound effect. So the mTOR is going to be pressed down and then boom, it's going to bounce back right after you work out when you start ingesting some good foods, whatever that might be for you.
Love that. Thank you. I've been lost in the sauce for so long and I've been doing it completely wrong, right? Because I've been eating, right? Because you see them. They're eating the power bar. They're eating the power drink, and then they're going to work out. So fasting, that suppresses the mTOR, right? Go in there with a lean stomach, maybe some water, and that's kind of it. And then go in, get some coffee, get that caffeine going, get that adrenaline, get that heart racing, the metabolism kicked into high gear, and then go full all out in the workout. How long do you recommend? Because you exercise about 20 minutes a day, 5 to 6 days a week. I see people spend hours in the gym. Is that really doing anything, or are we just wasting our time and spending time away from our wives and our families for no reason?
Marcus, it's such a good question, and I think a lot of people have it wrong. And I went out and sought some of the best experts in hypertrophy and muscle building, and I asked them, I was like, hey, what does it take to actually make a muscle grow? Like, I want to know, like, do I really need to be in the gym doing 3 sets of 10, like 6 different exercises? And the answer is no, believe it or not. I interviewed Dr. Sam Buckner out of the University of Florida Muscle Lab. He does a lot of cool studies. He did a really cool study on no load training, meaning no load, like no weight. All you're doing is just flexing your bicep like as hard as you can, right? I can't remember how long it was, like 30 seconds or something like that. And what they were able to show is that, guess what? You could actually grow muscle doing that, believe it or not. Crazy, right? So here's the key when it comes, and I think that's how I'm able to get away with this, right? I do some of these hacks, if you will. When we're looking at building muscle and burning body fat, there's 2 hormones at play, testosterone and growth hormone, okay? Now, in order to trigger these, what you need to do is you need to send the body, it's a cell signaling response. You need to send the body the message that, hey, I need to grow. What is the minimum amount you can do to send that signal? Well, one method, and by the way, it's really interesting. There was a Mr. Olympia back in the day. His name is Dorian Yates. Look him up. I think he won 7 Mr. Olympia titles. If anybody knows bodybuilding, like Mr. Olympia is like the number one contest you can win of all of them. If you win that, you are like, it's like winning the World Series of bodybuilding, right? And so he actually, I remember reading in muscle magazines back in the day, his workouts were 1 set to failure. So what you can do to save yourself time is do 1 all-out set to complete failure. By exhausting the muscle to a complete failure, that's all you need to do to create that cell signaling response. Most of us have been taught, nope, you got to break the muscle apart. You need to rip it apart. You need to rip it apart, and then the muscle's going to grow. It's going to tear and break back faster. No, it's not. All you're doing is just bruising the muscle. If they actually do a biopsy on the cells in the muscle, we're just going to see a lot of damage. And sure, the body's smart. It knows I need to grow more. I need to grow muscle to repair that. I'm just going to have to spend more energy repairing. What you need to focus on is just simply figure out a way to exhaust the muscle to complete exhaustion. And if you can do that, you're going to trigger that biochemical cell signaling response to the body to bring more nutrients. Hey, Joel ran out of energy. He needs to build more muscle in that area because we're completely fatigued. And we see this with other biohacks such as blood flow restriction training, also known as BFR training. You can put bands around your arms, if you guys have seen that, or legs. And what you're doing is you're cutting off, I believe, the venous flow of blood flow. So blood can get out, but it can't return. So the blood's not returning, and your the brain starts to freak out and go, whoa, well, we're not getting enough blood in that area. Guess what? I'm going to send more. I'm going to send more nutrients and more. It creates this, cell signaling response. And that creates the muscle growth. So people with BFR bands will cut off their circulation, the venous flow, I believe, not the arterial flow, because if you do the arterial, you will die. So it's just the blood returning back to your, back up to your body. So then you do I think the typical BFR protocol is 1 set to 30 reps. And it could be with really light reps. So weight. So people that are injured or they're old, right? A lot of old people, they can't lift heavy, but with just 20 pounds and the BFR, you go high rep and they do 4 sets of 15 and that's it. 1 set and then you're done. And you should see one of the guys, check out Katsu Bands, KAATSU. Check out that guy. Last time I checked, he was in his 70s. This Japanese guy, huge. He is ripped, and all he does is BFR training. And you too could be 70 looking at that. So yeah, that's the key, Marcus. And when I interviewed Dr. Sam Buckner, I asked him, "Hey, is this true?" He said, "Absolutely." He said, "What I would do, honestly, is I would probably do 2 sets to all-out failure, just to ensure that we hit peak exhaustion." So there you go.
Love it, love it, love it. This is major, sir. I heard another rumor. You're debunking all the myths today, and I heard another rumor. We're going to attack that rumor when we get back from this short commercial break. You guys don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels. Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level, Duke Duchess, which is our season level, and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye. We are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and we are debunking myths. Mr. Joel Evan here is spilling the tea and sharing nuggets upon nuggets about biohacking your life, your body, and taking your fitness level to the next level with simple, practical, easy to use exercises and workouts routine. This man has not been to a gym in over 9 years, but he still looks sharp. He's still killing it. The man looks ripped. He could rip my head off. And so he did. What do they always say? Never trust a skinny cook. Never trust a fat fitness coach. And this man is killing it today. So, Mr. Evan, I wanted to debunk another myth, right? I've heard you should stretch before a workout. You should not. You should stretch after the workout. And then I heard one person actually say you shouldn't stretch at all because you're loosening muscles and it has a higher potential of you getting injured. So which one is it? Help us so we can not stop killing ourselves with these 2-hour workouts at the gym and then we pull a muscle because we've overstretched. Which one is it?
Great question. I'll be honest. I don't even pay attention to a lot of that stuff. So I'll tell you what I do. I don't stretch at all. Pre-workout, I don't ever stretch. I go in a lot of times cold. Listen, I do things differently. A lot of my stuff is functional and body weight stuff that I will do. And then every now and then, if I'm going to do a load or a heavier load, I absolutely think people should at least warm up the body for at least 10 minutes, get the body hot, right? That's the key because we see injuries down the line when the body's not hot. So I would say that, but a lot of times when I'm doing lifts, I don't stretch at all. So just so you know, I do stretch afterwards. And the evidence is that when you stretch afterwards, you create what's called hyperplasia, and you can actually essentially more muscle cells can proliferate and grow. So you got all this blood flow. You've just worked out. Now, this is assuming, again, you did resistance type training, which I'm talking lifting weights. And so then afterwards, I will actually stretch and do some kind of stretch to open up that muscle. And that's what I usually do for just general flexibility and mobility. So that's what I do. I think, again, do whatever you like, do whatever, you feel great at. I think the studies do show, though, static stretching has never been good pre-working out. You're not going to do anything, but the evidence shows static stretching after a workout is better. And like I said, you get that hyperplasia effect. You can induce that with the blood flow and then the actual stretch. So that's what I would do.
Huge. Thank you. I've been doing it wrong my whole entire life, just so you know. So thank you.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Not anymore. I have no excuse anymore. We have no excuse anymore, y'all. I want to talk about food again because that's my favorite topic. What is it, right? Because we got vegans, we got pescatarians, we got mammals and animals and all this stuff. What is the best diet? We got keto, we got I tried an all meat diet one time, worked out well, but it wasn't sustainable on my breast thing. What is the best diet for that we should be doing? Is it because you mentioned fasting as a pre-workout initiator and coffee to get that really good solid workout. So what's the best diet out there? Who should I believe? Martha Stewart or what?
The best diet is there is no diet that works for anybody. The best diet, of course, they say, and the studies show this, is the diet that you can actually stick to. So they do all kinds of studies and they're like keto, low carb, carnivore, doesn't matter. Long-term, what the studies show is it doesn't matter. If you for some reason gravitate to low carb, then great. Guess what though? The people in the high carb camp, they lost they were able to maintain their weight just as much because it was a diet they could stick to. I think all of us can agree that processed carbs, the processed food, that's what you have to stick away from. I just interviewed some really great guys who have a book called Mastering Diabetes. And these guys are eating 600 to 700 grams of carbohydrates a day. That would make a keto person flip in their grave, okay? You're like, how is the guy eats 7 bananas? Even I was like, are you kidding me? And he is lean as hell. I mean, it is amazing. And they're both in great shape. They both have type 1 diabetes, and they help people with diabetes, and they get great results. I'm all about results. One thing I do want to tell your listeners is this. I get very worried when people say, I'm keto, I'm carnivore, I'm vegan. When you tell yourself that you are only one diet, you're only this one thing, I feel like that's a problem because now you just closed off the rest of the world and you limited yourself to the possibility of possibly learning or changing or bringing something new into your life. And I see people, we see it all the time, right? Their ideals and their beliefs that they have in their head, they will stick by their confirmation bias. Like, no, I have to be vegan because whatever, if their belief that it's healthier, right? Let's just say they think it's healthier. Not that it's different when they believe they're saving the planet, but they believe that it's healthier. They will do everything and at the detriment of their own health, even though they're getting sicker, just to say that they're vegan. And so I don't want anybody to be on any diet. What I've seen historically work really, really well for people is a balanced type of diet. And I think when you look at the areas in the world right now, there's a book called The Blue Zones. It's the 5 areas around the world where the longest living folks lived, the centenarians of the world, right? You go to, I believe it's Ikaria, Greece, Okinawa, Japan, the Nazario coast of Costa Rica, Sardinia, Italy, Loma Linda in California. They looked at these 5 areas, and for some reason, these 5 areas had the longest living people in the world, all centenarians, 100 years old, right? And what they found is they all had very similarities in their diet. They were all similar but different. But here's the thing. The Mediterranean diet, more or less, was what they were eating in some form or fashion. So if you're asking me what I think is the healthiest based on just the data that I see, I would say that.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you for debunking that myth. The last question, and Americans are notorious for this. We are not sleeping, right? And The Rock, I think, is the biggest contradiction of this. This man gets up at 4 a.m., kills it in the gym. He said, if you're sleeping, you're wasting time. You're wasting life. He says he can function off of 4 hours of sleep. And you look at him and it looks like he's not lying. But why is sleep so important and necessary to living a better life and living a better, healthier life?
Okay, I get up at 4 a.m. also. I don't work out that early. I'm creative at 4 a.m., believe it or not. In the morning is when I get my creative work done. So I personally do the same thing as The Rock. I can't, unfortunately, hold the same sentiment as him and say, oh, well, yeah, sleep is not that important. Or I've been the same way. I've said things like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I don't say that anymore. There's a great book that all your listeners should go out and check out, or look up Matthew Walker, Why We Sleep. It blew me away. I thought the book was going to be very basic. Like, yeah, I know why we sleep. We need to sleep. It's good for us. No, the book is fascinating. And he actually shows a big difference with just what is the difference between like 6 hours of sleep and 7. And it's monumental. And I was a guy who was on 6 hours of sleep for years and thought, who cares? I feel refreshed with 6 hours. And maybe I do. But the studies show like there's a vast difference between 7 and 6, believe it or not. So the other thing I'm going to tell your listeners this is, and it's kind of cool, and I can actually back this up. And I'm wearing what's right now on my arm. If you can see, if you're watching on video, I have a continuous glucose monitor. It's called a CGM, and it is monitoring my glucose levels in real time. And so I can put my phone, if your listeners don't know anything about this, you put your phone up to the app and it'll measure my blood glucose in real time. And so I've done some experiments, and when I don't get good sleep, guess what? When I wake up in the morning, my fasting glucose, meaning I haven't eaten in over 12 hours or whatever it is high. Go figure. And how do we measure things like metabolic diseases, like diabetes? Glucose levels, when they're extremely high consistently, that leads to insulin resistance and diabetes or prediabetes. So you don't want to be waking up with a high fasting glucose. That's not a good thing. And it's really interesting when I get enough sleep. Oh, shocking. Nothing changed. My diet and everything is pretty much more or less the same. And I might have the same meal, same kind of structured meals and everything one night. And then the next night have the same thing. But my sleep was better dialed in. I went to bed earlier, got up later. Shocking. The glucose levels plummeted to what's considered healthy. So it matters, guys. It matters a lot. It matters not only for just longevity, but if you're looking to lose weight, it also matters. And I think most of us are in the camp, oh, I don't need to sleep. You do.
Yeah, love it. Love it. I told you guys, The man, the myth, the legend himself, spilling the tea on Gentleman Style Podcast Show. We have no further excuse anymore to not live our absolute best lives. Mr. Joel Evan, you have been phenomenal this episode, and you have shared so many golden nuggets today. Sir, how can my audience connect with you, schedule that consultation, and get their life biohacked and turn things around?
Yeah, brother. Thanks. The best way, I'm very active on Instagram at Joel Evan Coaching. You can reach out to me there, shoot me a DM. I swear it's me in the DMs. You can also just go to my website, joelevancoaching.com. Shoot me an email, info@joelevancoaching. That's the second best way. And then last but not least, check me out on my podcast, the Hacked Life Podcast, where I get a chance to interview just some of the best and the brightest the health and wellness experts in our field. And they make me better, and I'm able to share their information with you guys. And my whole goal with that show is if I can just make you 1% better every day, I mean, man, imagine what you'll be by the end of the year. Imagine what you'll be in 5 years. And so that's what it's all about.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Mr. Joel, any final tips, strategies, or nuggets? You've dropped so many nuggets today. Any final words of advice to that young boy, that young girl that's out in the audience that's saying, I want to wait till the new year to get my body right? Any nuggets for that young girl or young boy out there who's struggling with their weight loss?
Yeah, start now. Aggressively take imperfect action. I cannot stress that enough. I think too many of us are sitting on the sidelines watching. We're watching the scoreboard. We're thinking one day I'll get there and one day I'm going to start, and we're waiting for this perfect day, and there is no perfect day. And what I want to stress to everybody in your audience is maybe your goal is not health or weight loss. Maybe it's starting a new business. Maybe it's starting a podcast. But you've got this fear inside of you. You don't want to do it because you're scared that you might look stupid or you might sound stupid and it's not going to be perfect. Well, guess what? There's people out there right now that need to hear your message, and they are dying and they are crying themselves to sleep because you're too soft and you're too worried about how something might look on Instagram. And the fact of the matter is, you could be serving at such a higher level and people need to hear your message. So please go out and take messy action.
Whoo! He was talking to me, y'all. He was talking to me and the Gentleman Style mascot. We hear you loud and clear. We're going to take some massive action. You heard it here first, folks. Get that in gear. Get that butt. I was going to say butt. Get that butt in gear and change your life. Make those changes today and biohack your life into the future. Thank you, Mr. Evan. We gotta let him go, y'all. He has a company to run and many more lives to impact. Thank you for being here. And I want to say this to him publicly. Thank you for what you do, brother. It is incredible. Please don't ever quit. We need you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you and all your hard work.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you all, my audience, for sticking with us and riding this roller coaster of fitness. I was sweating just listening to this podcast, but this is necessary. Thank you all for being here. Like I end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always, always take care of business. This is Marcus Norman, your favorite gentleman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and Mr. Joel, the rock star Evan, with 4 hours of sleep, having worked out in over 9 years in the gym. Love you guys. Bye.